Hi, and welcome to the MLOps in BigQuery ML using Vertex AI talk. I'm Dale Markowitz, and in a second I'll be joined by my colleague Po-Long Lin, and today we're going to talk about how BigQuery, Google's fully managed enterprise data warehouse, connects with Vertex AI, which is Google's one-stop shop for all things machine learning. Before we get into that, let's talk more generally about ML and why it's difficult sometimes to do it in enterprise. Unlike traditional software development, machine learning comes with its own set of unique challenges. So one is people. Machine learning has traditionally been a very specialized skill set, and finding folks with advanced data science degrees to implement it is challenging. Beyond that, even if you have the right folks to build machine learning models, it can still be expensive and cumbersome to set up the infrastructure that you need to train ML models on large data sets. This can require specialized hardware like GPUs or TPUs or clusters, and then it's even trickier, perhaps, to get those models functioning in production. Finally, anytime that you're working with data in enterprise, you want to be cognizant of security and data access. You need some way of controlling who has access to what data and connecting the models that you've trained to the data sets that they were trained on. This all leads to BigQuery ML, which alleviates a lot of those problems. What is BigQuery ML? Well, I mentioned earlier that BigQuery is Google's data warehouse that allows you to efficiently query humongous data sets in SQL. And BQML is a feature that lets you build machine learning models right from within the BigQuery console in SQL code. So in this little GIF here, you can see how in just a few lines of SQL code, you can train a machine learning model on your BigQuery data. And in this case, it's building a model to predict the number of bike rides. Now the neat thing about this, in addition to the fact that you're training a whole model in a few lines of SQL, is that everything is happening in BigQuery. You don't have to copy any of these humongous data sets from one place to another. You don't need to install any additional software. Plus, when you're building your models, you get to take advantage of all of the nice features that you're used to in BigQuery, like security, IAM permissioning, scheduling queries, and so on. Now, the reason that this is so useful goes back to those three challenges that I mentioned earlier that makes enterprise ML so difficult. First, finding people with those specialized degrees. With BigQuery ML, anybody who can write SQL code can train a model. So suddenly, your data analyst can start training their own models right away, even with a specialized background in the subject. In terms of cost and complexity, BQML handles all of the questions of where I'm going to train my model, what hardware do I need a cluster, do I need a GPU, do I have enough memory? Because all of this is handled behind the scenes by Google Cloud, which not only significantly reduces costs, but also decreases the time that you need to get up and running training models. And finally, like I said before, training models in BQ means that you get all of the security and compliance guarantees that you're used to when you're doing anything in BigQuery. Now, I hope I've convinced you that it's easy enough to take data stored in BigQuery and train a model, which is great for one-time usage and ad hoc training, or you can schedule queries if you want to repeatedly train. But if you have this use case where you just want to train a model once and you're done, then you're set. But in real production usage, you often have more sophisticated requirements for using ML models. Like, for example, you often want to automatically retrain models on new data as you collect it to prevent your models from going stale. And you often want this retraining step to be controlled and automated and monitored. If you want to retrain models automatically, regularly, you probably have to think about how you're going to prepare that data too. You might have a data preparation step, and for a really large data set, that could involve BigQuery queries, or it could be powered by something like Dataflow or Dataproc or Spark. After you train your model in BigQuery ML, you then have to think about how you're going to deploy it. Are you going to want to run prediction as a regular batch job? So for example, every night you use your model to make predictions on one large, huge chunk of data? Or is it more that you want to deploy your model in the online setting where requests are going to be coming in constantly, as would be normal for something like a phone or a web app? These questions are all really critical in MLOps, in addition to things like monitoring and metadata tracking. And to make them possible, we turn to Vertex AI, which I also mentioned earlier. It's Google's platform for machine learning development. How does Vertex AI work with BigQuery? Well, the first thing that it can do is to help you create a central repository where all of your models are stored, and that's accomplished with Vertex AI's Model Registry. That way, when you train a model in BigQuery, everyone in your organization can see it. Second, Vertex can help deploy models to a REST endpoint so that they can be used easily for online prediction in a web app or phone app or whatever. Third, Vertex AI Pipelines allow you to productionalize and automate the step of prepping your data, training a model, and evaluating it. So they allow you to formalize and automate this end-to-end pipeline. So at this point, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Po-Long, who's going to give us a deeper dive into each of these. Thanks.
Thanks, Dale. All right, so let's talk about Vertex AI Model Registry and what it does exactly. So Vertex AI Model Registry helps you to manage and govern your machine learning models on Google Cloud. So you can register, organize, track, and version your trained and deployed models on Google Cloud. It stores model metadata as well, so you can keep track of your models and some labels and some dependencies with respect to your models that are ready to be deployed or currently deployed. You can also keep track of some of your model evaluation metrics as well from the model registry interface. And finally, you can even govern your model launch process. So if you're thinking about staging and production, you're also thinking about reviewing, approving, releasing, and even rolling back some of your models in production. So Model Registry allows you to do these things. So how does this relate to BigQuery and BigQuery ML? So now you can use Vertex AI Model Registry as that one single place where you can see your BigQuery ML models alongside other models that you may have created. So it's this one single pane to view all of your models on Google Cloud. There's also a one-click to deploy capability, which allows you to deploy your BigQuery ML models to Vertex AI prediction. Next, you can also leverage Vertex AI model monitoring on BigQuery ML models as well. So what does this look like exactly on the Vertex AI Model Registry page? So now you can see here on the Model Registry page, each row here is a different deployed model. And you can see in this particular case, the first row, the source of this model is from BigQuery ML, indicating that this model was originally trained on BigQuery ML. The other ones include imported models into Vertex AI, as well as AutoML trained and custom trained models in Vertex AI. So here, Model Registry is this one pane which allows you to see all your models trained and deployed on Vertex AI. Now, if you want to deploy your model, there may be some things that you need to consider with respect to BigQuery ML and Vertex AI. So if you are training your models in BigQuery ML, and when you want to make predictions, and those predictions are maybe once per day, once per couple days, or once per week, and you're doing this each time in large batches, then you can just use BigQuery ML to run your batch predictions across large amounts of data. And that can be done directly within your BigQuery queries. However, if you want to serve your models for online prediction, so for example, you build a recommendation system in BigQuery ML, and you want to do real-time online predictions for recommending something to your e-commerce customers, then you want to consider using Vertex AI Online Prediction to allow your trained models from BigQuery ML and be able to serve them on Vertex AI for online or real-time predictions. And this is great because it becomes a REST API, so you can use your favorite client libraries to make predictions using that REST API. And finally, if you want to integrate with any of your applications, it just becomes a really easy way for you to serve your model, especially for low latency requirements. So we've covered Model Registry and we've covered ways to deploy from BigQuery ML to Vertex AI for online predictions. So how do we string all these things together? So let's take a step back away from BigQuery ML for just 1 second, and let's talk a little bit about pipelines. So what exactly are machine learning pipelines? When might you use them, and what are they really for? So machine learning pipelines, the whole purpose is, well, let's think about a typical machine learning workflow. There's a series of lots of different steps. You may want to, prepare your data or extract your data and then prepare your data, and then from there train your model or perhaps multiple models, evaluate your models, validate them, and then deploy them, and keep doing this over and over again. Now, you could do this kind of in an ad hoc way, which is certainly possible. But if you ran this all together in a single pipeline, you suddenly get a lot of extra advantages. You get extra auditability, you get extra reproducibility, and you get all the governance in place as well, because as you run pipelines, it will also keep track of all the metadata, so you can keep track of your model lineage and even your data lineage there as well. So pipelines automate the training and deployment of models so that you can effectively and reproducibly create executions of these pipelines from start to end in whatever shape and format as a series of connected steps. Now, how does this relate to Vertex AI and BigQuery ML? So first of all, with Vertex AI Pipelines, which is the ML pipelines capability within Vertex AI, you can create your pipelines using easy-to-use Python SDKs. They're also scalable, so you can run as many pipelines on as much data as you like. You can be conscious that your pipelines are going to be cost-effective as well, because you'll only be paying for the pipelines that you run and the resources that are used as part of the pipeline itself. And built into the pipelines, you will be able to track all of your metadata. So every time that an artifact is produced as part of the pipeline, whether it's a table in BigQuery that's created, whether it's some saved model that's being exported as part of a pipeline, you have this extra layer of metadata to allow you to keep track of everything that's happening throughout the pipeline. And then finally, of course, you have security built in place with your Vertex AI pipelines. So how does this look like with BigQuery ML? So we recently announced some new components for BigQuery ML to allow you to more easily integrate BigQuery and BigQuery ML operations within a Vertex AI pipeline. So previously, you would have potentially had to create your own custom operators or components, and this could be perhaps non-trivial to do. So now with these first-party operators, you can more seamlessly integrate BigQuery directly into your Vertex AI pipelines. So for example, in this code example below, you can see there's a create or replace model syntax that's part of this operation, which feeds into a larger pipeline, a Vertex AI pipeline. So what are these operators that are available? So there's a BigQuery query job op, which allows you to essentially write any SQL query as part of a pipeline. You could also instead use a create model job, or a export model job, or a predict model, or evaluate model. And all of these are now capable to be used within a Vertex AI pipeline with a lot more ease than before. So be sure to check this out if you are interested in working with pipelines and integrating things with BigQuery and BigQuery ML. So that's it for this session today. If you'd like to try out BigQuery and if you haven't tried it out before, you can sign up for the BigQuery sandbox at this link. You can also discover industry solutions in this middle link below. And finally, if you want to learn more about Vertex AI pipelines and using BigQuery and BigQuery ML operators, you can check out this blog in this third section here on the right. So thank you very much for joining Dale and myself. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Cheers.